Welcome to the SBR NHL Ice Guys for Saturday, October 6th. I'm Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review, joined by Andrew McGinnis and Alex B. Smith. It's our first Saturday show of the NHL season. Looking forward to it. Let's get some thoughts from the guys as we head into this first Saturday of the season. Alex, looking forward to the Saturday. It's a great Saturday of sports. I should point that out. A great weekend. We've got NFL, college football as usual, NHL now back in action, and we've got arguably one of the biggest fights in MMA history tonight. Conor McGregor, Khabib Nurmagomedov headlining UFC 229. Should be a great show. Looking forward to seeing that as well. I'm not going to say they're going to say UFC are going to say the biggest. It's one of the biggest. It's the biggest until 8 months from now when they have the next biggest fight in MMA history. So that's always the way it works with that promotion and that sport. So for now, it's the biggest, and certainly one of the biggest, but it'll only be the biggest until 8 months or a year from now when the next biggest fight in history comes down the pike. Alex, welcome to the show and ready to go on a Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, it's going to be an extremely long Saturday, but a lot of fun stuff to watch. So we got hockey, we got football, we even got preseason NBA that's been on TV the last couple nights. So anything you want to watch is there. There's plenty of things to watch, but also plenty of things to bet on and make some money with. So that's what I'm looking forward to doing all day on this Saturday.
All right, excellent stuff. Andrew McGinnis, welcome to you as well.
Yeah, guys, good morning. Great to be here. First Saturday, of course, the biggest card, most massive card really of the week in the NHL. And like you guys said, holy crap, guys, it's a great time to be a sports fan, especially today, like you mentioned, Ian. I mean, just right now, especially with MLB playoffs, NBA is about to start soon. We've got hockey in full course. Of course, NFL, college football, everything is on the go, you name it. So it's a great day to be a sports fan. And, as far as hockey goes, I mentioned this yesterday on a podcast. I mean, one thing that we all love about hockey, guys, and we proved it at our last show, is that every single day is different. I mean, we saw that Boston Bruins team get absolutely slapped in their first game, and then come out in their second game and put up a completely different performance. So that's what I love about hockey, and that's why we do these shows, because every single night a team can put up a brand new performance.
There's a great angle. I think it's cashed at a 75% clip the last 4 seasons in the NHL. Will you bet on a team that's played a game and has played a game that is off a loss in that game, and playing a team that has not played yet in the very first couple of days of the season? I think that the team that has played a game and lost that first game is like 75% winners the last 4 or 5 seasons. Boston got it done in that spot. San Jose last night got it done in that spot against LA. So keep an eye on that future when the NHL season starts. Teams that have played a game off a loss in that game taking on a team that hasn't played yet. The team that played the game, they're hungry because they lost that first game, probably a little more chemistry because they've had a game under their belt, a little more familiar with one another. And that team that hasn't played, is still, trying to see what they're all about. Haven't played a regular. So it's been a very profitable angle, something to keep in mind next season. Unfortunately, it's going to take a while to have that come around again, but something to keep in mind next season, early on, those first 2 days, if you see that kind of situation creep up. So let's get into the card. We've got an early start game, 1 p.m. Eastern here with this one. It is overseas, I believe, in Bern, Switzerland, where this game taking place. We've got the Edmonton Oilers and the New Jersey Devils going at it here, and this one should be interesting. 2 teams looking, New Jersey had a decent season last year. Edmonton looking for a bounce back year. We've got Edmonton about a small neutral ice favorite here, about -120, total 6 here in this game. Very interesting to see what we get here from these 2 teams heading into the new season. Of course, with the Edmonton Oilers, it's going to be about, can their defensive play get better? That was definitely a sore spot for them. So is depth of scoring with this Oilers team. We saw an Edmonton team last year that, when you got down into their third or fourth lines and you got outside the core, the big guns of this Edmonton squad, and you got outside them, it was definitely a situation where they had trouble scoring goals at times. I mean, they had Nuge, you've got Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, and other than that, you didn't get a whole lot of offensive production from anyone else. Ryan Strome was a bit of a disappointment after they got him in a trade. We'll see what they can get now from their secondary scorers. Milan Lucic had a down season last year. Can he bounce back? They're expecting big things now, year 2. He got some playing time last year. He's probably going to be a regular full-time this year. And Kailer Yamamoto here for this Oilers team. Let's see if he's going to be able to add some punch for them offensively. I'm still concerned about this team on the back end. I mean, you're going to go with Chris Russell's good, blocks a lot of shots. I like him, but Adam Larson really didn't play up to his potential last year. I did like Clefbaum's game. I think Darnell Nurse is getting better. It bothers me that Andre Sekera, again, injured to begin a season, and injuries were an issue for him last year. So that's something they're going to have to overcome. You get the New Jersey Devils, on the other hand, who are a team that last year, a solid season for them. See if they can keep it going this year. Interesting to see if they're able to do that. I think with New Jersey, it's a team that's definitely, I think, got some upside. I know Alex B. Smith, for a fact, likes this New Jersey team to be very, very good this season. He bet them and recommended them over their season wins/points total. I think there's some good things ahead for this New Jersey team. Can Corey Schneider bounce back? That is going to be the interesting thing. I think, Keith Kincaid showed he could play good in spurts. I'm still not sure he's a true number one. And I'm not sure New Jersey wants him to be a true number one. In a perfect world, I think if you ask New Jersey, their coaches and their management, they're going to say, we want Corey Schneider as our number one. We want him to bounce back because they think he's that good. But there's a guy that's getting older off a down season. He's now in his 30s. Can he bounce back? That's going to be the big question to monitor, that goaltending scenario with the New Jersey Devils. This is a game that is on Andrew's card, the Oilers and the Devils overseas in Europe in this early start game. Andrew, what do you like here?
You know what, Ian? First of all, for me, I think as far as handicapping wise go, looking at this game, like you mentioned, it's a neutral site. I think it's something you have to kind of look into because, of course, for these teams, it's their first game of the regular season so far. It's their first game. And a lot of times you look at teams playing, on the road for their first game or at home, or what kind of reasoning do they have? Do they have a strong fan base? Do they play well at home in their first games? And so that kind of, takes all that stuff away. It takes all the stats away. It's these two teams on the road in Europe on neutral sites. And to me, that kind of helps the handicap because you don't have to worry about any home ice advantage or road advantage or any stuff like that, any travel, just the first game of the season. And, as far as time zone goes, guys, I think a lot of people will play into that. And a lot of people will say that, it's a weird start time for these two teams. But realistically, these two teams have been over there. They're used to it. They've been over there for a couple days now, or if not longer, for one of the teams. And I think that's not really going to play too much of a factor. And, for the record, I mentioned it quite a bit on one of our shows, I think last week, guys, but I'm not going to mention it too often, but this is one team, this Edmonton Oilers team, where I really want to pay attention to their preseason. I really wanted to see how they played. And, Ian, you hit it right on the head there. Their scoring depth for Edmonton was not really there. I mean, of course, everyone's talking about how they traded away Eberle, they traded away Hall in years past, and kind of got rid of those guys and moved into a different direction and tried to be more of a defensive team. But I'll tell you, Ian, I mean, they were scoring with ease. They were scoring with ease, and I think as much as I don't want to sound like one of those typical hockey analysts, just completely sucking up to Connor McDavid, he does look like he's actually brought it to a brand new level this year, and that's a scary thing. That's just, it blows my mind. But he really does look like he's brought it to a brand new level. He has that extra amount of speed. But I think what really is going to change from his game this year, Ian, and like you mentioned, is getting his teammates more involved. And I'm not saying he didn't do that before whatsoever, but I'm just saying that he's going to turn that goal scoring capability, drawing two defenders and kind of just passing it off into these kind of games. And so when he's on this line, he's centering Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Ty Rattie. I was really impressed with Rattie. I mean, Rattie put up, I think, one of the highest amount of goals in all the preseason. Of course, Jesse Puljujarvi, he looked very talented, very, very young guy, lots of potential. And then, of course, we got the guys like Draisaitl and Lucic that have to play better, that have to step up and kind of have more of an offensive role. They're two big guys that can be solid in the second line, and you can count on them, of course, but that we need consistency from them, and that second line has to be huge. I want to see a lot more from Ryan Strome this year as well. I think that he's a guy that can be talented. He's down there centering that third line, and I think he really brings a lot of depth to this team as well. So, and of course, going over the decor, we got Clefbaum, Larson, Nurse, Benning, guys like that. I think Darnell Nurse will just get better and better as the years progress. Of course, he got paid this past summer. He signed that contract with the Oilers. And looking at this, I think his biggest problem was that, I think he held onto the puck too much in his own and he tried to do too much. But I think the longer you're in the league and, the more you're kind of being coached and realizing what direction your team wants to go in, you're not going to try and hold the puck too long. You're not going to try and be too fancy with it. You're going to get it out of there and move forwards and get that out into the offensive zone. So overall, guys, as far as this game goes, I'm not going to always do this, but I'm going to give 2 picks on it. I'm going to think that with these 2 teams, I'm worried about Cam Talbot. Every time I give him a chance, every time I give him an opportunity in my head to think he'll have a good game, he still lets in some weak goals. And so this Edmonton team is going to have to score high. They're going to put up some numbers on this season in order for them to be a strong team, because I'm worried about their goaltending just as much as I'm worried about New Jersey's goaltending. And, as far as scoring depth goes, I think Edmonton has that completely dominated versus this New Jersey team. We've got guys like Nico Hischier, who I saw play here in Halifax. He was very talented, but I don't think he belongs on that first line. I don't think we can count on him. We look at Taylor Hall, Nico Hischier, top goal scorers, point scorers last year for the Devils. And then it was just a huge drop-off. And then it's just a bunch of guys that aren't really way up there in the stats. And, of course, you mentioned we got that Corey Schneider injury, Keith Kincaid, and I don't think we can count on them, guys. So I'm going to go over 6 in this one. It's a very early start for us over here in North America, but I'm going to go over 6, and I'm also going to take Edmonton on the money line.
All right, Edmonton and over. -116 is the best price out there right now at Pinnacle. Heritage -118, -120 in most spots. That's a reasonable price for sure. And the over is 6, pretty much -110 across the board. So Oilers in the over for Andrew in this early start. We'll see how that goes. It'll be a good, interesting game to watch. Early start action taking place there overseas. Ottawa, Toronto. Next up, we've got Toronto laying a massive price. They will be doing that a lot at this season. Particularly when they're at home against an inferior opponent like they are here. -230 in that range. The total 6 shaded to the over, -115, -120. Lost with the over against Montreal in the first game. Yeah, and Toronto still ended up with 3 goals in that game. They didn't have the puck half the game, and they still ended up scoring 3 goals. Give Montreal credit. I mean, they had, like I say, they had the puck most of that hockey game. They really did. Toronto could barely get the puck, could barely find an opening into the Montreal zone for extended time in that game, and yet they still find a way to win. Well, once you get Toronto to overtime this season, apparently in 3-on-3, this could be good night nurse if you're playing the Leafs and you go to overtime with this team. I mean, with just all the game breakers they have and all the weaponry on offense and all that open ice that 3-on-3 overtime can provide, it's going to be tough for opposing teams that take their games to overtime against this Leafs team. And we saw that in the first game on Wednesday night. I mean, too much ice, too much room, too much time, too much space, too much speed for Toronto, and too many game breakers. And they ended up winning that game. Austin Matthews in overtime. Very interesting to see. You watch Toronto. They will be, I think, have a great overtime record this season. They're going to have a phenomenal overtime record because it's just way too many guys that can end a game for you on that amount of ice on 3-on-3. Look out for that this season. If you see a Toronto game go to overtime, get on Bet365, get on any of these books that offer live in-game NHL wagering. Maybe bet Toronto prior to overtimes of these games. I mean, you got to seriously look at it. I mean, with the amount of game breakers they have, it's going to be tough to find this team not winning games in the 5-minute overtime session. So something to keep an eye on. Look, Ottawa, to me, looked like an absolute disaster defensively, as I kind of expected in that first game against Chicago. Both teams really were in that game. But, you look at this Ottawa team, who on earth can you hang your hat on to be a shutdown, stalwart kind of player on the defensive side of the puck for you? I'm not so sure at this point in time. You look at it, Thomas Chabot's still growing. Chris Weidman's still pretty young. Borowiecki, slow of foot. Cody Cece's decent. Then you have 2 very young defensemen in Lajoie and DeMello in the third pair. I mean, that is not quality defensive group right there, and they struggled. I mean, gave up goals, gave up quality chances. You give up goals and quality chances to the extent they did against Chicago. How's it going to be tonight against Toronto? That's what you've really got to worry about. I think Toronto was really, really concerned about, again, not having the puck as much as they should have in that game, I think. And the fact they scored 3 goals when they had so few shots and so few chances and didn't have the puck all the time, very impressive. I'm going to take my chance with the over again with Toronto at 6, -115, -120. in this game. Not great value because, again, we're talking about 6 now with the juice gone up from where it was in the game against Montreal the other night. But I think Toronto could do some significant damage here against this Ottawa team. And, Ottawa at least showed a capability offensively in the first game against Chicago. Zach Smith was a guy they weren't sure was going to be back, chipped in. They've, still got Bobby Ryan, Mark Stone, Matt Duchene, although Matt Duchene's a streaky guy. Still have some guys that can put the puck in the net and test this Toronto team. So we'll go over the 6 here tonight with the Sens and Leafs on Hockey Night in Canada. And I like how Andrew said when he was breaking down Edmonton, New Jersey, that, I don't want to be one of those media people that is completely fawning all over Connor McDavid. No, they don't do that. Elliot Friedman doesn't do that. All these jokers on Hockey Night in Canada don't do that. Glenn Healy in the past, and Nick Kyprios and Doug McLean. And no, these guys never, ever, suck off Connor McDavid. Never. Keith Jones down in the States and Jeremy Roenick. No, they never say anything good about Connor McDavid. No. Yeah, that's all you hear. Whenever they're talking Oilers, yeah, that is all you hear. Just how wonderful Connor McJesus is. We know how great he is, but when you hear people just over and over again just say, "Oh, he's this, he's that, look at this, just phenomenal, outstanding," it just gets a little nauseating after a point in time. We know he's good. We get it. All right, Andrew, Toronto, Ottawa, one of your games on the card. What do you like in this one, mine?
Definitely a good laugh there. You're right. I mean, they just keep on talking. I mean, Connor McDavid's not very fast, is he, guys? I mean, I don't think we hear that as much in the media. Jeez. Anyway, yeah. I mean, overall, I'll keep it pretty quick because I was pretty long on my last little spot there. But Alex and I were talking earlier, and we really do think that that Chicago Blackhawks Ottawa game. I was looking at the over. I didn't pull the trigger, and of course, he absolutely killed the first period over bet. And I think that this Ottawa team, the best thing is, though, Ian and Alex, is if you got a team like Ottawa where everyone has zero expectations for you, and you got a bunch of guys that don't really, besides your Duchenes, your Stones, your guys like that, guys on the scoreboard that no one really even ever even heard of, there's no pressure on them, right? There's no pressure on them. So you go out there, you put up a goal or two, and the Leafs, put up 4 or 5 goals themselves, then we can count on the over to cash. I mean, this game is going to be high scoring. It's going to be turnover filled. And let's face it, I'm not being biased when I say this, guys. Toronto didn't put up their best effort against the Montreal Canadiens. They did not look great. And they'll be a lot better tonight. So take the puck line with the Leafs tonight and take the over.
All right, there we go. Over and Leaf puck line from Andrew McGinnis on that one. Yeah, you look at the over, too, in this series. 5 straight overs, Ottawa, Toronto. 6-3, 6-3, 4-3, 4-3, 6-3. 7 goals or more in all 5 of those games. So if you're worried about the 6 and think, it might just land on 6, well, it's cleared 6 in 5 straight meetings between the Sens and the Leafs. Yeah, I'll take the over one. I will take Toronto overs and be willing to, as long as I can get a 6. I think once, if it ever gets bumped up to 6.5, and I think it will if Toronto starts cashing some overs, then I'd get a little, shy away a little bit more. But as long as I can still get a 6 there, it's going to be a situation where I'm definitely going to be interested looking at the Leafs over on a game in and game out basis. Next up, we've got Winnipeg, Dallas. Interesting battle here. We've got Dallas minus 115, minus 120, the total 6 in this game. Dallas, good opening win for them, 3-0 against Arizona. Weird game. Dallas, things just started to snowball for them in a little 5-minute swatch in the second period where bing, bang, boom, they got 3 goals in a row, very close together. Outside of that, Arizona played Dallas even. That was a toe-to-toe game. Ben Bishop was very good in net for Dallas, and boy, is that ever a good sign that A, he's healthy, and B, he played like that. And that's the concern. Ben Bishop's now played a lot of games, a lot of years in the league now, coming off a major injury like he had last year. Could he play well coming into this season? Not only stay healthy, but play well. Play back to the way he did, when he was always with Tampa in the postseason every year. And that was a very good first start for Ben Bishop and a very good sign for the Dallas Stars and their new head coach, Jim Montgomery, who's emphasizing a push the pace, push the tempo, use our speed kind of game as the new head coach. And it's weird. They went to Hitchcock. They started to dumb it down a little bit more, play more defensive. Now there's wheel and run and gun type of style one more time with this Dallas team. And that should make for a pretty fun game tonight against this Winnipeg Jets team. Leaning to the over, but I'm not sure I'll bet it because I'll tell you what, Winnipeg played great, not just good, great defensively against St. Louis in their first game. And Connor Hellebuck was outstanding St. Louis was peppering him, power play opportunities like crazy for St. Louis. And yet here's Connor Hellebuck making Alex B. Smith's proclamation look very good after one game, that he's not going to drop off. He's not going to decline. He's still going to be very, very good in that net for the Winnipeg Jets. And he certainly was in that first game against the St. Louis Blues, a 5-1 win. And if you're on the over like Andrew and I were, wow, what a nice little gift from the from Lord Gambler up above, giving us that over when it was 1-0 going into the third period. But it ended up exploding, especially for Winnipeg in the third period, a 5-1 win over the St. Louis Blues. Winnipeg's not a team I'm back going in front of right now, but I saw some positive signs out of Dallas too. So this is a pass for me side-wise, probably a pass for me totals-wise as well, because I think even Dallas, they got the goaltending, so did Winnipeg. There's going to be pace, there's going to be chances, going to be opportunities. Will there be goals? I mean, you're talking about two goalies, Bishop and Hellebuck, weren't just good, were great in that first game. And if they're great again tonight, could hold this game back from going over that total. We'll see. Alex B. Smith, this is his first game on the Saturday card. Jets and Stars, great matchup here taking place in Big D. Alex, what do you like here?
Yeah, I watched both of these teams in their first game of the year. Like I said, the Jets were absolutely phenomenal in the third period offensively, but like I said, it took them a while to get things going. Connor Hellebuck kept them in that game. Like I said, made a ton of great saves. Like I said, fortunate to get the over there because it was 5-0, I think, with maybe like 3.5 minutes left, and the Blues on a power play. This is when Hellebuck made the best saves of the game. He made about 7 saves. He used to stand on his head. Blues finally got one in, a puck that no one was going to be able to stop, and got over that total of 5-1. But with Dallas, it was basically a tale of two periods for them. You look at the first period, he said Arizona outskated them, outclassed them all over the ice, and then Dallas turned things on and got 3 goals in the second, and that was pretty much it. Ben Bishop shutting it down for the shutout. So the way I'm looking at this is Winnipeg, they have dominated in this series. They've won 8 straight, 9 of the last 10. Mentioning Connor Hellebuck, I said I'm really high on him. He's 6-1-1 against Dallas with a 1.86 goals against and a 9.38 save percentage. He's the guy who's really showed up in this game, and obviously division wins. When this division, they come in handy down the road. You want to get them, early as you can. They already got one against St. Louis, so it's be a big game here. But I do like Dallas moving forward. I like the hire of Jim Montgomery, like I said, a guy who's always about pushing the tempo, but still being liable on defense as well. He's about speed, he's about energy, but it's not so much. It's not gonna be the freewheeling kind of just all offense we saw with Lindy Ruff at the end of his tenure there in Dallas. So, like I said, this could be a slower paced game, but I do think Winnipeg closes it out. You get a good price on them again. Anytime Winnipeg is going to be in a pick 'em range, I'm going to be looking to take them, and that's where I'm going with, again tonight with the Jets.
Yeah, and they showed in the playoffs last year, regular season too, but especially the playoffs, they could win big-time road games. Just ask the Nashville Predators, who were sent home crying because of road wins that the Winnipeg Jets were able to get down there in Music City in the playoffs last year. So, yeah, they can win on the road, and you're going to get good prices with Winnipeg on the road. I know Winnipeg's got a great home ice there, MTS in Winnipeg. They're nuts there, but you're going to get better prices and better situations on the road this year to back the Jets than at home. And I think that's a good point to point out. So Alex on the Jets at this near even money price. Andrew, this is another game for him. He's a busy guy early in this card. Winnipeg and Dallas. Andrew, what do you like?
Yeah, you know what? I don't always do this, guys, but when I talked about Hellebuck in our last episode there, and of course you and I, Ian, holy crap, man, you and I definitely both got pretty lucky on that one. But we're gonna get breaks, and we're also gonna get times where we're screwed. So that was a big third period for our over that last piece. But looking at this game, I'm gonna have to go under. I mean, I know it's only one small sample size, and I know it's just my first look at this Dallas team this year, but they seem to be kind of a bump and grind team that's going to score a few goals and just protect that lead. That's just the way I see it. I don't see them just kind of, just completely just rising the score up. I don't see them just blowing teams out by any means. I just can't picture it, even if it's Dallas versus the worst team in the league. I just can't see a 5-1, 6-3 kind of game out of Dallas. I just not what I'm seeing. And Ben Bishop played out of his mind. He was an absolute brick wall. And for that reason, I'm going to have to, again, just stay under the total. I think that these two teams, especially realistically, if you look at Dallas, I don't know about you guys if you'll agree with this, but after a few big names, I think it's a big drop off from that team as well, as far as scoring depth goes. And, as far as this matchup goes, I mean, the Jets have major depth, but I think as far as their defense goes, they've stepped it up big time. I don't think their defense are jumping up into the rush as much as they were last year, being a little more conservative. So if we can get a good game out of Hellebuck, we can get a good game out of Bishop, and we can get that good first start, get that good first period. I think we'll be okay with the under 6. So I'll go with that as my play in this game.
All right, under 6. Yeah, good proactive approach here, I think, because you look at it. I mean, it's two teams. These are two better, I think, defensive teams than they're given credit for, and certainly they got great goaltending. So that's why I'm definitely leery with, especially with this total at 6. You're going to need 7 or more goals. I'm not so sure we'll see that. So Andrew likes the under. Alex likes Winnipeg in that game. Very interesting one to watch. Rangers taking on the Buffalo Sabres next up. Buffalo minus 130 to minus 135 in that range as home chalk. The total 6, slightly shaded to the under in this game. It's a pass for me here. I think there'll be spots to back Buffalo down the road. But this is not the price I like Buffalo, and I like Buffalo catching a big price because I think sometimes they take some teams by surprise. Some teams take them lightly. Give the Rangers credit. I mean, they battled Nashville in that first game. Decent effort from them. Lundqvist didn't do too bad, a little bit better from him. It's not like they're without hope. They've got a new coach too in Dan Quinn, who was again at Boston University, head coach for a while, transition period there. Buffalo, unfortunately, was walking into a buzzsaw, even on their home opener, a pissed off Boston team, and Boston flexed their muscles a little bit against them. It's a manageable opponent, lean Sabres here, but not getting the price I want here in this particular game. Buffalo's still not, for me, they got a long way to go to show me that they're a minus 135 lay with team. I mean, that's not a small price. Minus 110, I'm in there with Buffalo tonight. Not at minus 135. No, I think that's the betting markets seem to be really, really down on this Rangers team. I mean, Nashville was laying a minus 160 on the road the other night in that first game, and now here's the Rangers getting a healthy underdog price against a team that, in theory, they should be able to handle or at least compete with. So that's a little dubious to me. So not a game I'm going to end up being involved with there. Interesting to see how that one plays out, though. Montreal, Pittsburgh. We've got Pittsburgh minus 240, minus 250. The total 6, slightly shaded to the over. Montreal Canadiens could have got the 2 points. You could make a good case they deserved the 2 points in that first game against Toronto. Outplayed Toronto for extended stretches, had the puck way more than Toronto had it. But unfortunately, when you go to overtime with the Leafs and you give them a chance on 3-on-3, you're often going to pay the price, I think, this season, and that's exactly what happened. Speaking of paying the price, Carey Price was excellent in that game for the Montreal Canadiens. Excellent. Very good sign for Montreal. Much like with Bishop in Dallas, it was not the greatest season for Bishop. He was inconsistent when he played, and then he got hurt. Kind of the same season with Carey Price. Now, Carey Price had a pathetic defense in front of him last year. I don't know how much better it is this year, but who played well for Montreal? This guy's like this guy that no one talks about. They got him in a trade last year from Minnesota. Mike Riley had a really good game on the blue line for the Canadiens in that first game against Toronto. Got the puck up the ice, made good plays with it. Didn't turn it over at all in that game. Very impressed with the way he played. Mike Riley, just journeyman kind of defenseman, and they got a lot out of it. Yeah, even Andrew's favorite player on the Habs, Jeff Petrie, who drives him nuts half the time, wasn't too bad in that first game. Now we'll see how they do here against Pittsburgh, who were it just involved in this wild, crazy OK Corral shootout against the Washington Capitals in their first game. Crazy hockey game. I mean, incredible stuff. Back and forth it went. 7-6 overtime win for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Look, you have to believe Pittsburgh is coming into this game thinking, we have some good offense and some good goal scorers and good talent on that side of the puck, but we got to dumb it down a little bit, guys, defensively here. And we need a little bit better goaltending here from Matt Murray. This is actually the under on the card that I really actually do like here. Looking at under 6 here with Montreal and Pittsburgh. Price looked good. Hopefully, you're facing Pittsburgh, another good offensive team, but you faced, it's not like you're seeing a team that's got all kinds of weapons for the first time. You just faced one in Toronto, and you did pretty well against them. The 3 goals that beat you had no shot, none, 0 in terms of stopping. I think that bodes well for Montreal. I think Montreal played pretty good in their own zone against Toronto. Again, they didn't let Toronto have the puck. I think they're going to have that same mindset here, Claude Julien. Let's keep the puck away from Pittsburgh. Puck possession. That's what gave us a chance against Toronto. It's probably what's going to give us a chance to try to pull a massive upset here against Pittsburgh. So under, I don't know if I can have the guts to take Montreal at this plus price, but after the way they played against Toronto, you want to take a small flyer on Montreal at this crazy number, especially after seeing Pittsburgh give up 6 goals against Washington in their first game. Not crazy. Not crazy, maybe, to take a little pinch of the Montreal Canadiens north of plus 200 in this game. This is Andrew's game, and it's his team, Montreal-Pittsburgh. I know he was happy with the effort in the overtime loss against Toronto. Andrew, what do you like here in this game?
Yeah, I guess it's just pretty much all East Coast games for me on this card. So, yeah, quite a bit of early action for me, I guess. But, it's a good point with the under, Ian. My first initial reaction was the over in this one, but the more I kind of dove into it, I kind of talked myself out of the full game over, just because, like I said, like you said, I mean, first of all, this Habs identity has to be keeping the score low, keeping the puck of the opposing team's hands. I mean, let's face it, they haven't been the best defensive team in years past. I mean, they had Carl Alsner, a guy that they signed and paid some decent bucks as a healthy scratch in their opening game, which is absolutely disastrous. And we've got guys like Jeff Petrie, who actually had a good performance. So I can't really crap on him today. He had a good performance versus the Leafs. And, you got brand new guys, a lot of new guys out there. But time of possession, the speed, all 4 lines, that's the best thing about this Habs team. And that's really the only positive thing about this Habs team I could say, is that there's no real big studs. It's just 4 lines that roll. And that's the best thing about that team. But I am going to look over the total in the first period, guys, minus 123 over the 1.5. I think it will be a fast-paced start. Again, we saw what happened in Pittsburgh. We saw that, rivalry matchup versus Washington. And I think, I'm not saying it'll carry over into this game and we'll see just a boatload of goals, but I do think we'll see some offense. There's just too many snipers. Carey Price looks solid, but he's still worrying me with that high glove position. That's where he gets beat most of the time. And there's just too many snipers on Pittsburgh. If Pittsburgh gets a power play, I'm worried. I'm definitely worried about Carey Price and the defense of this Montreal Canadiens team. So, as far as this game goes, I don't usually always give out these first period plays, but I feel like this is a great opportunity for it. I think the Habs got on the board early versus the Leafs. It's key they do it often because it gives them confidence, and they don't have to kind of play that rushing style that they shouldn't be playing. So give me the over in the first period, guys.
All right, first period over. And, actually, I've made a transition this year. I mean, I've pretty much only given out totals so far for full games, but personally, I'm putting 1 unit on the full game total. I'm actually putting a quarter unit on every total I bet this year in the NHL full game on the first period as well, because I find there's some, especially with overs, you can get situations where you get that fast start and a slow finish, and the full game stays under even when the first period goes over. So I like to now put a quarter unit in addition to the 1 unit on the full game total on the first period total. And I think that's something I'm going to stick with because it's worked well so far this season. And first period over for Andrew in that game. I like the full game under, but I could see it 2-1 after the first period and it ends, 3-2. It definitely, and it settles down after that. Definitely, because this is what happened with Montreal and Toronto in that first game. Maybe something similar to that. I know Sullivan was not happy with the team defensively, so I think that for that reason, you're going to get Pittsburgh really wanting to make amends for the shoddy amount of goals they gave up in that. Even though they won, not a great clean defensive effort or a great effort from Matt Murray and net. So we'll see if they step things up on the back end in this game. Florida, Tampa Bay, one of the best games of the night. The Battle of Florida here, 61-62, no line. This is a game I am intrigued to watch, but I want no part betting it because we've got these are the last 2 teams, I believe, in the NHL to play a regular season game this year. No team has played yet. They haven't played since last weekend in the preseason. That's a long time off, a lot of layoff time. Who knows who's going to be sharp? Who knows who's going to be, flat and maybe not play well? I'm not willing to take that chance and guess. And that's what I feel this game is, a little bit of guess here. There's probably going to be a good price on Florida, and I think there's going to be good spots to back Florida. Not sure tonight's the night. I don't know what we're going to get from them, and I honestly don't know what we're going to get from Tampa. What I do know is Tampa is, obviously going to be a Stanley Cup contender again. You got to like what you've seen from them. Other than, Toronto's got question marks on the back end. Lightning, not so much. Hedman, Girardi, McDonough, Strawman. That's a phenomenal top 6. Don't count out this Sergachev from being a big-time defender as well for this Lightning team. And Florida, in terms of their forward group, fantastic. Evgeny Dadonov, Alexander Barkov, Nick Bukestad, Huberto Trocheck, Mike Hoffman from the Ottawa Senators, now that he was displaced from that team after the saga with Erik Karlsson and his wife. Vetrano from Boston, who's a capable goal scorer. How about this Dennis Malgin, who actually popped some good goals in for them last year, playing on the third line for the Florida Panthers. That shows you how much depth now they've got forward-wise. Aaron Ekblad may or may not play in this game day to day. The blue line at the back end still concerns me a bit. Luongo and Reimer, can they get the job done? Luongo's a year older. Reimer is, good at times and not so good at times. That's my one issue with Florida. They'll be able to score goals this year. So interested to see how this game goes. Alex does have a little mention here of this Florida-Tampa Bay game, something he wants to point out. Alex, Lightning and Panthers, what do you got?
Yeah, obviously we don't have any line other than maybe a couple of rogue books there. But one thing I'm going to be looking at in this game is the first period over. Looking back, the over full game has cashed in 7 of the last 10 meetings. But when you dive in deeper, the first period over, which is, almost always 1.5, has cashed in 5 of the last 6 meetings. And in the last 3, had 2-1 in the first period, 3-2 in the first period, and another 2-1 in the first period. So the fact that these two teams, like I said, haven't played yet, they should be very, either we're going to see really sharp, usually see sharp offenses and kind of rusty defenses. And you said already question marks anyway with Florida's goaltending and their blue line. I definitely could see at least 2, if not more, goals scored in the first period. So once that number pops up, that's something I definitely will be playing.
All right, first period over. Florida, Tampa Bay for Alex when that line becomes available. We got Nashville and the New York Islanders. 155 minus 160 road favorite. Does that look familiar? It should, because that's exactly the range Nashville was in against the other New York team, the Rangers, the other night. The total 6 in this game. Now, you could look at that first game for the New York Islanders, 2-1 win on the road against Kakalaki, against the Hurricanes, and say, wow, Barry Trotz, game number 1. Brought in here to clean up this team on the defensive end of the ice because they were a train wreck in that area last year. What a great job they did. Well, did they? They still gave up a ton of shots, and Greiss was really, really good. I will say this, and I made sure I watched some of this game. A lot of shots for Carolina. Not all of them were quality shots, though. They were firing pucks from everywhere. I think in terms of grade A chances, prime area scoring chances, the Islanders did show some improvement in that game against the Carolina Hurricanes, and certainly that's why you hire a Barry Trotz. Well, you hire him because Washington Capitals are too stupid to come to a contract agreement with him, which, by the way, I got to rant about this here. It is a travesty. It is an absolute disgrace. The Washington Capitals completely aced Barry Trotz out of any mentions. They cut him out of the video and the imagery on the big scoreboard for that banner-raising ceremony tribute video they did. No mention of the guy. It's like he wasn't even part of what they did last year. Barry Trotz made you a bit better defensive team. Barry Trotz has kept you guys afloat. You were a choke artist hockey team for years in the postseason. Couldn't get it done in the big spot. And finally, you get over the hump. And Barry Trotz has a lot to do with that. And the fact you're not going to give this guy any sort of mention, I know things didn't end well. Ted Leonsis, the owner there, and the management and Trotz couldn't come to an agreement on a contract. It was a stalemate. Barry walked away. It didn't end well. Have the class to at least acknowledge his fingerprints on your championship win last year. And they didn't do that, which is, to me, ridiculous. Totally asinine that they did that. Very classless in my mind as well, that Barry Trotz not even mentioned, not even shown in one of the videos or images that they ran during the video tribute to last year's championship team. Absolutely. It's like reading a newspaper article. You want to see this article. I can't wait. This is a great story. I've been waiting it to be published in the newspaper for a very long time. And a part of the article's been cut out. You're not getting all the story. That's what it's like not having Barry Trotz part of your tribute. You're missing part of the story. Why you got there in the first place. Why you won a Stanley Cup last year. Christ, man, have some freaking class. Goodness. It's terrible. Absolutely terrible. I was shocked. I didn't even see the ceremony because I was watching Montreal-Toronto. I was only interested in the game itself. I wasn't watching the ceremony, so I only caught on to it Thursday, the day after what happened. Horrified that the Washington Capitals did that. Absolutely horrified.
Yeah,
but in terms of
Cameron right now, passionate.
Yeah, horrified that happened. I mean, it's like, again, and it's bitterness. It's bitterness. It's petty. It's being petty, and it's letting business and your business feelings cloud your judgment and cloud what's right. And what's right is including Barry Trotz in there. Okay, You didn't like the way things ended contract discussion-wise, that he turned his back on the team, that he went to the Islanders. Okay, that's all right. You let that, you put that behind you for 2 seconds, and you at least show the guy's face on the screen for what he's done for you, winning the Stanley Cup. Anyway, that's enough of that. Got it off my chest. I'm glad I did. You look at this game here with the Nashville and the Islanders. Good test for the Islanders. How much better do you want to be defensively? You're going to get tested here by this Nashville team. It's another game I don't really have much on. You're not getting any bargains with Nashville. I want to see how the Islanders do against Carolina's a decent team. You're playing an elite team now. See how they handle it here in this game tonight. So this is a game that I'm definitely staying away from. Next up, we've got, let me see, I lost my track here. Chicago, St. Louis. We know we're going to get some thoughts from Alex B. Smith on this game. You can write that down. St. Louis minus 170, total 6 shaded to the under. I know Chicago pulled it out. 4-3 win against Ottawa. Not pretty. But when you're looking for wins, potential wins for Chicago early on, you think, well, we got a chance to beat Ottawa, and beat Ottawa they did the other night. Now you got to take on this St. Louis team that, really, if not for a second period where they don't capitalize and tie that game at 1 and fail to, could have been a different story against Winnipeg. They had chances and chances and chances. It got to the third period. They're still down 1-0. And then a back-breaking Adam Lowry shorthanded goal, which gave Winnipeg a 2-0 lead, took all the air and wind out of that St. Louis sail, and they were done at that point. You could see it. The body language wasn't good. The effort level dropped. That was a crusher of a goal to give up, and Winnipeg just ran away with it from that point on. We'll see if St. Louis can step it up, play a lot better. I still think they're going to be a better offensive team. I say that after they got held to 1 goal the other night, but I still think they're better offensively with Ryan O'Reilly. Bozak can chip in offensively. Tarasenko's still on this team. Like, this is a very, very decent, I think, offensive team. We'll see if it finally shows up tonight against a defense and goaltending in Cam Ward that, St. Louis should be able to find the back of the net here at least a few more times in this game tonight. I was looking at the over here in this game. 6, though. I mean, again, we're seeing Chicago even now priced at 6s. St. Louis priced at 6s. Might be a first period over, but it might be the way to go here instead. Alex, Blackhawks and Blues, what do you think from your team as they face this Blues team on the road?
Yeah, this might be a little bit of a different story than what we saw in Ottawa. Obviously, like I said, a great start for the Hawks offensively in that first 20 minutes against Ottawa. And, of course, in overtime, Patrick Kane with yet another incredible goal, wrapping things up to win it in overtime. Now they got to play a team that has given them fits for quite some time in St. Louis. It's a huge rivalry matchup. St. Louis has won 5 of the last 7 meetings. Like I said, St. Louis, they had 42 shots on goal against Winnipeg, which is a team that has much better defense and much better goaltending than the Hawks. You get 42 shots on Cam Ward. Quite a few of those might go in tonight. So the only way I would look here would be on the Blues, maybe on the puck line. I'm not trying to lay 160 with them either. They've got a lot of injury issues as well. They are shorthanded with some key players. But I think the Hawks, like I said, took advantage of a bad team and were able to get lucky and fortunate enough to win in overtime. That's going to be a little bit different here. So St. Louis on the puck line, they should be able to win this by 2 or 3 goals.
All right, St. Louis on the puck line is the way Alex B. Smith would go in this game. And as I've said in years past, well, last year's first year we did the show, but he's not a homer when it comes to the Blackhawks. He's more than willing and able to bet against them as he is bet on them. That's exactly what he's recommending here in this game. We've got Vegas and Minnesota. Golden Knights taking on the road to where Alex currently resides in St. Paul, Minnesota, to take on the Wild. We've got Minnesota minus 110 to minus 115, total 5.5 here, shaded to the over. I mean, we're getting to the point now in the new era NHL, especially when you look at this card, you see a 5.5. It's like, whoa, it's actually a bargain here from a totals perspective. If you like the over, that is. I'm not sure I like the over in this game, though, to be honest with you. I mean, Vegas, not happy defensively, not happy with the mistakes, the turnovers. Fleury didn't like his game in that loss against Philadelphia in their home opener. You'd think Vegas, puts a little mind into the defensive end tonight because of that. Minnesota's never going to be confused for a offensive juggernaut, not by any stretch of the imagination. The thing with Minnesota to watch this year is, and of course they lost their first game against Colorado, a lot of their big guns and big weapons, they're getting long in the tooth from an age perspective. Eric Stahl, Zach Parise, they've been good players in their careers, but they're getting older now. Mikko Koivu, I mean, it's just, these are guys that are now on the back end of their careers. The decline may be starting to show for a lot of these guys, and if all the decline for these players starts to show simultaneously at the same time, it could be a concern for the Wild. As you can tell in my voice right now, not a big Wild fan this season. I've got concerns about this hockey team. I've still got concerns that Devin Dubnyk can be consistent. He had that great run when he first joined the team, and really has been average since then. Yeah, I mean, to me, I've got concerns with this hockey team. I've got concerns with Vegas too. I mean, they've got some injuries they're dealing with. Nate Schmidt is a huge loss for them defensively. He was phenomenal last season, and they didn't look like the same defense in that first game. So I'm not in love with Vegas here. And I'm certainly not in love with Minnesota in this price range. So it's a pass for me. I believe this is on Alex's card. And Alex gives us good thoughts from the Wild perspective because he's right there, ear to the ground, close by the scene, and what goes on with the Minnesota Wild on a day-in, day-out basis. Alex, your take here with the Golden Knights taking on the Wild.
Yeah, it's interesting. Usually there's a lot of hype with the home opener here for the Wild. Obviously, fans, excited for hockey to be back. They're going to do a big kind of street fair thing down the road from the Xcel Center. But there's not a lot of talk after what happened with the 4-1 loss. A lot of people were really down and saying, oh, here we go again. The same old, same old. Like I said, lack of offense from the Wild. Spotty defense at times when they need to really step things up. Devin Dubnyk can't stop everything. The blue lines in front of him has got to help out, and that just wasn't the case against the Colorado team that many expect to downtrend a bit this year. So now you're coming home, you're playing a Vegas team that's coming off of a bad loss. We saw them all last year. Whenever they had really bad losses, they usually bounce back, guns blazing, and usually came out of a game with a win. So I'm looking at Vegas here in this spot. Interesting to note that Minnesota did win all 3 meetings last year with Vegas. So I think that's something that the Knights are going to be aware of. This is the only team they have yet to beat thus far in their short history. So at a plus price, looking for a bounce back, I think the Vegas Golden Knights should be a team to get the win here in St. Paul.
There we go. That's the guy I'm thinking of. Yeah, Brian Suter, of course. Yes, on the defense for the Minnesota Wild. Another guy, on the wrong side of 30 now. Great career on that blue line, but he's not getting any younger, and he's probably not going to get any better. So at this point, so a lot of mileage on that body and those legs. So you got to be concerned with Minnesota. A lot of their big players that they rely on, they're getting older, and their play is only going to go down, not up from here. So we'll see if that shows in their results. We've got Anaheim, Arizona. Interesting Pacific Division battle here. -115 to -120 on Anaheim, total 5.5. And look, I could get frustrated. I could get ticked off that I thought Arizona, and I had Arizona as a big dog against Dallas, that, hey, I lost with them. Maybe say, okay, let's leave Arizona alone, maybe not back them for a while. I'm coming right back with Arizona here. I thought they played well enough in that game against the Dallas Stars. Other than a 4-minute swatch where it was 3 quick goals for Dallas, that was a solid effort from this Arizona team. They are banged up a little bit, does concern me. I was hoping Galchenyuk would be ready to go for the season. That's not the case. But to me, Anaheim, fool's gold first victory, 5-2 against San Jose. They got dominated. They got outplayed. They got a bunch of soft goals let in by Martin Jones that cost them, or that gave them that victory. San Jose outplayed them, and Anaheim capitalized on their chances on a night where Martin Jones didn't have his A game. They're still banged up beyond belief. No Corey Perry, no Andre Kasha. Kessler's out to start the season. Arizona back in the desert, home opener. I think there's a little excitement to get out there and win. All I've heard from Arizona is we have to get off to a fast start this season because they know damn well they lost 12 in a row to start the season last year. I thought they played a game that was better than the 3-0 score indicated against Dallas. We'll see if that results in a W tonight. I'm not buying Anaheim just yet after one game where the puck went right for them. They took advantage of soft goaltending. They still got dominated in territorial play, shots, possession. I think it shows up here. I'll take a chance here with Arizona, near even money at home. Alex B. Smith, Ducks, Coyotes. What do you like?
Yeah, I'm not as confident in this game as I was before when I sent it out, earlier this morning. I was looking at Anaheim in this spot. They've dominated the Coyotes in winning any of the last 10 meetings. But both teams having some injury issues. But I thought with Anaheim, yeah, they were fortunate to get that 5-2 win. Like I said, there was most of it was related to bad goaltending by Jones. But and even with the good effort we saw from at least the first 20 minutes from the Coyotes in that game, I still think that there's still a mindset with Anaheim where this is a team that consistently makes the playoffs. They're a team they know they have to, once again, kind of like I said with Winnipeg, they're a team that take care of business within the division. Where like I said, Arizona, let's just try and get some wins. Let's try and get it to a good start. I expect the energy level to be there for both teams. And in looking at that, looking at previous history, I think Anaheim might be able to get just enough to get this win. But you're laying a price on it, and I'm sure more money is going to trickle in on the Ducks, just being the more popular team. So you're not going to get a real favorable price. So I'm laying off of it, but I wouldn't be shocked to see the Ducks kind of string together another win here tonight.
All right, Anaheim for Alex. So hey, that's why it's great. You can take Anaheim, you can take Arizona, whatever. But you're not always going to agree. But yeah, there's Arizona still has got to find a way to win games, and that was sometimes an issue for them last year, certainly early on in the season. So I'm higher on Arizona and personally in my power ratings and my system, right, my rankings than a lot of people are. So that's part of it. Maybe I'm putting too much stock into this hockey team, but I'll give them one more chance. Home opener, a banged up team with a misleading first win against San Jose. Let's see if Arizona can get it done. And I think Ronta, played well enough in that first game against Dallas, and he'll be in the net tonight, and I've got high hopes for him as well, as long as he can stay healthy. Philadelphia, Colorado minus 115 at home, the total 6. It's another game where I'm a pass on it. I loved what I saw to the Flyers against Vegas, and they didn't have anything out of Claude Giroux and James Van Riemsdyk in that game, and they still took care of business against the Golden Knights. I liked what I saw from Provorov, a lot of their defensemen. Gostisbehere had a great game, or Guts to be here, as I like to say. It's definitely you got Guts to be right here watching the NHL Ice Guys every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. But you got a situation here where the Flyers, Sanheim played well. They had a lot of good players on defense play well. Patrick, Voracek, Konechny, Couturier healthy helps this team a lot. Elliott had a really good game in that. Another team that relies on, is going to need good goaltending this year. It's always been a conundrum with the Flyers. Can we get good goaltending? Elliott gave it to them in that first game. But how about Colorado? Very impressive as well in the first game against Minnesota. Nice home win for them. Nathan McKinnon leading arguably the best top line in hockey. It's absolutely phenomenal. The threesome they can put out there, him with Landeskog and Mikko Rantanen. That is a deadly group right there. Should be a fun game, but I liked what I saw to Colorado, and I liked what I saw to Philly. Two teams that I'd rather just watch than bet against right now. So it's a pass for me with the Avs taking on the Flyers. And we'll wrap it up with one more before we call it a show and get to best bets. Last game on the Saturday card, Vancouver, Calgary, 73-74 on your rotation. Calgary minus 210, the total 6 shaded to the under. I hate to be Mr. El Paso, but this is another game. I got nothing on it. I mean, I lost with Calgary, which was also a best bet on the first show we did, which was a game that took place Wednesday night. And I was impressed with Vancouver's forwards. I mean, long-term, can their defense hold up? I'm not sure. I don't love that blue line by any stretch outside of maybe Chris Tanev. And can Jacob Markstrom do what he did the other night? He was good against Calgary. Give him credit for that. But consistency's been an issue for not only him, but Anders Nilsson in terms of goaltending for them. But you look at these young forwards for Vancouver. Elias Pettersson, who had that first goal. Goldobin. You got Besser on that team. There's some impressive young talent now up front with this Vancouver team. Mike Smith looked like the old Mike Smith, too. That didn't help either. I mean, he looked like the Mike Smith that is getting older, had injuries last year, and didn't play well when he got back from injury. He kept saying he was healthy coming into this season, and maybe he is. He's not healthy performance-wise, because that wasn't very, very good from him in that game against Calgary. This is a game I'd lean over the total with, but it's 6 now. You could have had 5.5 in the first game between these two teams. They've been an adjustment up to 6 now. So not a great value with the total. You might want to see Calgary try to, be a little bit more defensive-minded and responsible in this game, but lean at least to the over. I still might bet it, but sidewise, I'm out of it. Obviously, I'm not going to lay more than minus 200 with Calgary, even though I still think they're going to be an improved team this year. It's not the price range I'm going to back them in. I was impressed with Vancouver, so I'm going to leave the side alone in this game. I believe Andrew's got a quick note on this game, Canucks and Flames, and then we'll get to best bets. Andrew, what do you want to mention here when it comes to this Western Canadian battle?
I just want to say that it was an absolute hideous performance from Calgary. From the get-go, really. They made Vancouver look like the far more superior team. And having said that, I'm going to back the over in this one as well. I mean, this is probably, a very slight lean, just half unit, if that. But I just feel like this game will get off to another huge start. Maybe even a first period over. These two teams have so many dangerous weapons, but, Give me take two on this, guys. But I said Markstrom wasn't, my favorite goalie in the league, and what does he do and have a great performance and actually make some unbelievable saves. But I just don't trust the Vancouver decor in the long run. I don't trust Markstrom really throughout the entire season. So I think there'll be a lot of goals in this one early and often. So over 6 for me.
Yeah, I mean, under Travis Green last year, they weren't a big offensive team, Vancouver. And I wasn't sure what we were going to get from that. I heard all this talk that they are going to be able to score goals. I was in the camp where I needed to see it in the first few games before I could believe it. Well, we saw it in the first game against Calgary that, at least for one game, maybe this is going to be an improved scoring squad this year, an improved offense. And certainly Vancouver's got some impressive and improving youngsters that are going to help that team be able to put the puck in the net this season. And we saw that on display in that first game and that home win against Calgary. Now the same two teams going at it in the Saddle Dome. We'll see if Calgary can have a step-up effort because they're going to need it after what happened to them on Wednesday night. All right, let's get to best bets, where we were 1 and all 5 of us were on Tuesday's show. We were 1 and 4 with best bets, and those wasn't a good start, but it's early in the season. I mean, you're just trying to experiment with some things, see which teams you're up or down, and you're not going to get them all right. But boy, did we come back strong Thursday. 3-0 sweep. It was just the 3 of us on that show. We all got it done. Alex, I had Winnipeg as a best bet. Andrew and I fortuitous with the Winnipeg St. Louis over, but it got there nevertheless to get us to 4-4 on the season with the best bets. We'll see if we can improve that record on this Saturday card. Alex B. Smith, give us your best bet for this Saturday slate.
Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I'm going to go right back with the Winnipeg Jets here. Like I said, Hellebuck's had some great track record against Dallas. This team, the Jets overall, have had a great track record against the Stars, and I expect them to get another win on the road against a division opponent. So Winnipeg at even money, that's my best bet.
All right, best bet for Winnipeg for Alex B. Smith. The great thing about the Saturday shows is we can touch the top of the hour, 10 a.m., and not feel rushed to get off the air because there's no show right behind us. I will be back, by the way, in 1 hour, 11 a.m. with Big Man on Campus, the college football closing line show. We'll be doing that. Looking forward to that. If you want to throw the hockey reference into Big Man's moniker, you could say the Big Man on Hampus Lindholm. But no, that's not funny. That didn't work. Sorry, that was bad. Andrew McInnes, your best bet on this Saturday card.
Yeah, I put in our little Google Hangouts chat here. Ian's kind of taken over the complete extreme dry humor. And, now that Dana Lane's not here for our episode, he has to step up his game with the comedy act. So I like it. It's good stuff, Ian. I'm not going to, complicate things too much. I apologize to the viewers if this is kind of an obvious play, but we're going for winners. I'm going with the Leafs puck line. You can get that at plus 100 right now at 5 dimes, and I'll gladly take it. This team is far more superior. And like I said, guys, they did not have a strong performance against the Montreal Canadiens. Matthews had a great goal. These guys played well, Tavares, but they didn't play to their potential. They didn't play to their peak, and we'll see that tonight against a very weak Ottawa team. If Craig Anderson doesn't make 45 saves tonight, it's going to be an absolute blowout for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I can get plus 100 with the puck line. That's my best bet for tonight for sure.
All right, Toronto on the puck line and a blowout over the Ottawa Senators. Not a bad play considering, the fact that, Toronto wasn't impressed even in victory, not happy with the way they played for a large portion of that hockey game. We'll see if they're able to flex their muscles here against the Ottawa Senators tonight. My best bet is from that game as well, but it's going to be on the total. We're going to go over the number of 6 with Ottawa and Toronto. I think Toronto could actually approach or exceed this total all by themselves, to be honest with you. I think this is a night where you see a breakout offensively, where they do have the puck a lot more on their stick, be able to score 4-5 goals at least. I think Toronto can get to that mark tonight. All you'd need is 1 or 2 from Ottawa. That's something that I believe they are capable of going into this game. Craig Anderson didn't exactly look sharp, and here's another goalie for Ottawa that is, really at the end of his career. He's been around a very, very long time, and he's not going to get better at this stage of his career. He's going to be 40 very soon, and I think you're going to see him really, really under the gun from this Toronto team tonight. So Ottawa-Toronto for me, over 6, minus 115, my best bet for this Saturday card. And with that, that's going to wrap up our show. Dana Lane will usually be a part of this show on Saturdays. He couldn't do it today. He was traveling with the UNLV hockey team. Yeah, UNLV does have a hockey team, even though their football and basketball gets 90% of the attention. They do have a hockey team, and Dana Lane covers them on a regular basis. So Tuesday, we'll be back with you then, 9 a.m. Eastern, and we're hoping to have everybody in the house, all five of the Ice Guys, all four of my line mates, as I like to say. We'll have Alex, we'll have Andrew, we should have Dana back on Tuesday, and we'll have Jimmy Murphy, our new entry into the Ice Guys family, back with us as well on the Tuesday show. So be sure to join us then, 9 a.m. Eastern, for our next edition of the Ice Guys on Tuesday. For Andrew McGinnis and Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review. Good luck this weekend. Enjoy the hockey action. Enjoy the sports action. It's a wonderful sports weekend. Enjoy it. Have a great weekend. We'll see you again on Tuesday.